There are times in life when you feel stuck, as if no matter how hard you work or how faithfully you pray, the doors of financial increase remain closed. You've invested your time, energy, and effort, yet the breakthroughs you've been hoping for seem delayed. In these moments, the key is not to focus on the lack, but to focus on the spiritual principles that govern provision. The first step in unlocking blocked money is to release what has been holding you back. Fear, worry, doubt, and past failures act as invisible chains that prevent blessings from reaching your life. Until you let go of these burdens, the spiritual channels that bring increase remain clogged. Releasing what is heavy requires courage, but it is essential because you cannot receive abundance with hands and hearts full of anxiety. When you hold on to fear and worry, your mind constantly rehearses scarcity. You think about what you don't have, what went wrong, and how you might fail again. This repetitive focus creates a vibration of lack that blocks opportunities from manifesting. The spiritual principle here is clear. The atmosphere around you responds to the energy you emit. If you release fear, you make room for hope. If you release doubt, you make room for faith. When you declare to God that you will no longer carry the weight of worry, something shifts in the unseen realm. The very act of release signals that you are ready to receive, and God moves on behalf of those who trust Him enough to let go. Releasing the past is equally important. Every disappointment, every financial mistake, and every missed opportunity can become a chain if you allow it to linger in your memory. Carrying past failures into the present keeps you anchored in defeat. By releasing them through prayer, you tell God that your past does not define your future. Each time you let go of regret or shame, you create spiritual space for new opportunities to appear. Release is not giving up. It is a declaration that you trust God to fill the space you have cleared with blessings that you could not achieve on your own. The next essential step is alignment. Aligning your heart, mind, and actions with God's purpose brings clarity and direction to your efforts. Many people pray for increase, yet their motives are misaligned. They seek abundance for selfish gain, or they expect provision without preparation. Alignment ensures that your prayers, actions, and intentions are in harmony with divine will. When your desires reflect God's purpose, the flow of provision becomes natural. Alignment allows you to operate in favor because heaven always responds to order. Your faith is amplified when your inner world mirrors your prayers and opportunities begin to manifest more easily. Alignment also means examining your mindset. You cannot expect abundance to flow into thoughts filled with negativity, fear, or scarcity. Each thought you dwell on has a spiritual impact. By choosing to think in faith, speak in faith, and act in faith, you synchronize yourself with the flow of God's blessings. You begin to recognize doors that were invisible before, opportunities that were hidden in plain sight, and solutions to problems that seemed unsolvable. Alignment brings harmony to your life, and harmony attracts divine favor, connecting you with resources and people that will accelerate your financial breakthrough. The third step is activation through authoritative prayer. You are not powerless. Speaking with authority over the blockages that hinder your finances is a spiritual principle that releases what is already assigned to you. Declare boldly that every delay, every closed door, and every obstacle must move. Faith-filled words carry spiritual power because life and increase are in your tongue. When you speak with confidence, you activate unseen forces that work to remove obstacles and direct resources toward you. Prayer is not simply asking, it is declaring and commanding the flow of God's favor over your life. Activation requires courage to take the next steps. It's not enough to pray and wait passively. You must move, act, and step forward in faith. Applying for opportunities, starting new projects, investing in ideas, or even simply extending generosity when you feel limited are all acts that open the flow. The combination of prayer and action sets a spiritual chain in motion that cannot be broken by circumstance. God multiplies what is offered in obedience, and even small steps taken with faith can produce extraordinary results. As you continue to release, align, and activate, you begin to notice subtle signs of favor. Opportunities appear unexpectedly. Ideas flow that solve problems. People enter your life who provide guidance, mentorship, or resources. These signs are confirmations that the spiritual channels are opening and that what was once blocked is beginning to move. It is the natural outcome of releasing burdens, aligning your heart, and praying with authority. Increase begins to manifest in ways that exceed your expectations, and you realize that breakthrough is not a matter of luck. It is the result of spiritual principles being applied faithfully. It is important to remember that money is not the end goal. True financial increase is a tool to fulfill purpose, bless others, and create impact. God's provision is meant to flow through you to accomplish greater things. When you treat abundance as a resource to serve and build, rather than a reward for yourself alone, it multiplies. The principles of release, alignment, and authority position you to be a conduit for blessing. Every act of faith, every prayer, and every step taken in obedience opens the channels for provision to move freely and continuously. Daily practice of these three prayers strengthens your spiritual foundation. Speaking them with conviction, aligning your actions with divine purpose, and acting boldly in faith develops a rhythm of blessing in your life. The flow of provision becomes consistent, obstacles diminish, and confidence grows. Your focus shifts from fear to expectation, from scarcity to overflow, and from limitation to possibility. The spiritual laws of release, alignment, and activation ensure that what was once blocked is now moving toward you with power ready to manifest in abundance, impact, and divine timing. When it comes to unlocking financial breakthrough, alignment is key. Alignment is the process of bringing your heart, your mind, and your actions into harmony with God's purpose. Many people pray for increase, but their hearts and motives are misaligned, and their efforts do not reflect divine order. True alignment means that your desire for provision is rooted not just in personal gain, but in purpose, using what God gives to bless, serve, and impact others. When your heart is in the right place, the spiritual doors open and resources begin to flow naturally. It is not enough to want abundance. Your entire being must be tuned to receive it, ready to steward it faithfully. Alignment begins with your thoughts. Every thought you dwell on has energy that either attracts or repels blessings. If you think constantly about lack, limitation, or failure, you are reinforcing the very blockage you want to remove. But when your thoughts are focused on faith, gratitude, and expectation, you create a spiritual environment where abundance can manifest. This requires vigilance and discipline. You must consciously reject worry and negativity, replacing them with affirmations of hope, declarations of faith, and visions of prosperity. Your words are the next step in alignment. Words are seeds that plant either scarcity or blessing. When you speak fear, doubt, or limitation, you are sowing spiritual resistance. But when you declare, God is releasing abundance into my life, or every blockage in my finances is removed, you are speaking the language of increase. These words carry authority when they come from a heart aligned with faith. They begin to shape the atmosphere around you, drawing the provision and opportunities that were previously unseen. Alignment also extends to your actions. Faith without action is incomplete. You may pray and declare, but if you do not follow through with steps toward opportunity, preparation, and stewardship, the flow of provision is hindered. Actions demonstrate obedience, readiness, and responsibility. God honors those who act in faith because they show they are trustworthy stewards of what is coming. Whether it is investing your time in learning, improving your skills, or pursuing an opportunity boldly, alignment of action ensures that prayer and intention are supported by practical steps. Another aspect of alignment is your motivation. Your desire for abundance should be tied to purpose, not selfishness. If your prayers are only for personal comfort or gain, the spiritual channels may remain closed. But when your motivation includes blessing others, supporting your community, and fulfilling God's plan for your life, your prayers resonate in a higher frequency. Alignment of motive ensures that provision flows not just into your hands, but through your hands to make a meaningful impact. Alignment also involves consistency. You cannot align for one day and then drift back into worry, doubt, or selfishness. Consistency in thought, word, and action creates a strong spiritual current that becomes unstoppable. Each day you choose faith over fear, gratitude over complaint, and action over idleness. The flow of blessings strengthens. The universe, responding to divine order, begins to deliver resources and opportunities into your life that match your level of alignment. Spiritual alignment also requires self-examination. You must honestly look at areas where your heart or motives may be out of tune. Are you harboring resentment toward others' success? Are you focused on scarcity rather than abundance? Are your actions and habits reflecting trust in divine provision? Asking these questions and taking steps to correct misalignment clears the pathway for blessing. It is not about perfection. It is about intentionality and willingness to adjust and realign continually. The power of alignment is evident when obstacles begin to dissolve. What once seemed impossible now appears manageable. Opportunities that were hidden begin to present themselves. People and resources enter your life at just the right time. The spiritual principles activate through alignment, move unseen forces to support your financial breakthrough. You begin to recognize that God's favor is not random. It flows when your heart, words, and actions are in order. Alignment also fosters a mindset of expectation rather than desperation. When you are aligned, you stop fearing lack and start believing in provision. You expect doors to open, opportunities to arise, and resources to appear. Expectation shapes your behavior, enhances your focus, and strengthens your faith. You no longer move from a place of anxiety. You move from a place of confidence, knowing that what has been promised is on its way. Finally, alignment positions you for multiplication. Once your heart, thoughts, words, and actions are synchronized with divine purpose, not only does provision begin to flow, but it multiplies. Opportunities grow larger, resources expand, and the impact of your blessings increases. This is why alignment is critical. It transforms prayer from a passive wish into an active, powerful force that attracts and releases divine provision continuously. Activation is the step that transforms prayer from a hopeful request into a powerful force that moves the unseen and releases what has been assigned to you. Many people pray faithfully, yet the flow of provision remains slow or stagnant because faith is not activated through action. Activation means taking steps of obedience, speaking with authority, and trusting that what God has already promised will manifest. It is the bridge between belief and breakthrough. When you act in faith, the spiritual laws respond. Mountains move, doors open, and resources begin to align with your life. Activation is not optional. It is essential to unlocking blocked finances. To activate faith, you must declare with boldness what you expect God to release. Speak over your finances, over your opportunities, and over your future. Say, every blockage in my financial life is removed. Every closed door is open. Every resource assigned to me is locating me now. Your words are not empty. They carry creative power when spoken in faith. Life and increase are in your tongue. And each declaration of faith releases supernatural momentum into your circumstances. The act of speaking in alignment with God's promises begins the shift from delay to increase. Activation also requires courage to step into opportunities, even when they seem uncertain. You may feel unprepared, under-resourced, or unsure, but faith moves forward before certainty appears. Applying for that opportunity, starting a new project, making an investment, or giving generously despite apparent limitation are acts that activate the flow of provision. These actions demonstrate trust and readiness, signaling to the spiritual realm that you are prepared to receive. Obedience in action multiplies the blessings that prayer alone initiates. Faith activated through action also shapes your mindset. Once you begin to move, doors that were hidden or blocked suddenly appear. Ideas come to you that solve problems. Resources appear where there were none. This is not coincidence. It is the result of heaven responding to aligned, activated faith. The combination of prayer, declaration, and action creates a momentum that shifts circumstances, allowing divine favor to intersect with human initiative. Each step taken in faith draws the increase that has been waiting for you. Activation through prayer requires persistence. One act of faith may not bring immediate results, but repeated declarations, repeated acts of alignment, and continued obedience create spiritual pressure that cannot be resisted. Like water flowing through a blocked pipe, persistence wears down resistance and opens the way for breakthrough. Every time you refuse to give in to fear and continue to speak and act in faith, the flow of provision moves closer. Persistence is the engine that drives activation to completion. Another aspect of activation is gratitude. Thanking God for what is coming, even before you see it, multiplies the power of your prayers. Gratitude positions your heart to receive and signals your faith in unseen provision. It transforms prayer from petition into expectation, aligning your spirit with the outcome that is already promised. When your words and actions reflect thankfulness, heaven responds with acceleration, and blocked resources begin to move toward you with greater speed and clarity. Activation also brings discernment. As you step forward in faith, you begin to recognize which opportunities are aligned with your purpose and which are distractions. The spiritual realm guides those who act, revealing paths that lead to multiplication and favor. By activating your prayers, you sharpen your ability to distinguish between fleeting chances and those assignments meant for your increase. Discernment ensures that the blessings you receive are not just temporary, but sustainable and fruitful. Through activation, fear loses its power. Once you move, speak, and act in faith, worry begins to dissipate. You realize that your breakthrough is not dependent on circumstances, but on your alignment with divine principles. The steps you take in faith create a spiritual momentum that works in your favor, and you gain confidence that no blockage is permanent. Each act of obedience strengthens your position and increases your capacity to receive. Activation also fosters generosity. As your faith grows and blessings begin to flow, you are prompted to give, invest, and bless others. The more you act in alignment with God's purpose, the more provision returns multiplied. Generosity activates the law of increase because it keeps resources moving rather than stagnant. When you become a channel for blessing, not just a container, you invite multiplication into your life. Ultimately, activation is about trust. Trust that what has been promised is real, trust that the unseen is working, and trust that every step you take in faith brings the increase closer. It is the bridge between prayer and reality, between declaration and manifestation. By speaking, acting, persisting, and giving in faith, you move from a place of waiting into a place of receiving. Activation turns potential into power, prayer into movement, and blocked finances into flowing abundance. Money is one of the most misunderstood aspects of life. Many people treat it as an enemy or a source of stress, yet in truth, it is simply a tool, neutral in itself, neither good nor evil. What gives money power over you is the way you think about it, speak about it, and handle it. When fear, doubt, or greed control your heart, financial flow becomes blocked. But when your heart aligns with faith and purpose, money becomes a servant, a resource that multiplies and accomplishes the work God intends for you. Understanding this principle is essential because your mindset shapes your reality, and your reality determines whether abundance can reach you. Too often, people associate spiritual growth with lack. They believe that being faithful requires struggle, that holiness is measured by scarcity, and that wealth is somehow incompatible with righteousness. But God created abundance and wants His children to prosper in every area of life. Financial provision is not selfish. It is an enabler, a tool to fulfill purpose, bless others, and build legacies. Recognizing this truth frees you from limiting beliefs that keep you trapped in cycles of lack and worry. Once you see money as a tool, not a master, you begin to release the spiritual blockages that have hindered its flow. Your attitude toward money matters more than you realize. If you fear it, you repel it. If you hoard it out of insecurity, it stagnates. But if you handle it with faith, wisdom, and generosity, it multiplies. This is why the heart must come before the harvest. God entrusts provision to those He knows will steward it well. If your motives are pure and your vision aligned with His purpose, financial doors will open, opportunities will present themselves, and resources that seemed out of reach will begin to flow into your life. Every financial challenge is also an opportunity to grow spiritually. The obstacles you face are not there to punish you. They're there to teach you trust, patience, and alignment. When you handle small resources with faithfulness, God prepares you for greater blessings. He wants you to demonstrate wisdom, obedience, and integrity before releasing abundance. The way you respond to limitation determines whether provision will multiply or remain stagnant. Faithful stewardship, even in the smallest matters, positions you for supernatural increase. Generosity is a key principle in unlocking blocked finances. When you give, you release the energy of lack and create space for increase. Giving does not diminish what you have. It signals faith in the unseen and trust in divine timing. The act of releasing resources in alignment with purpose invites multiplication. It transforms money from a source of worry into a conduit of blessing. The more freely and faithfully you give, the more you open yourself to receive God's provision in ways you cannot yet imagine. Money also reflects the condition of your heart. If you are anxious, fearful, or greedy, money amplifies those emotions. But if you are grateful, disciplined, and purpose-driven, money magnifies those qualities as well. The spiritual principle is clear. Your financial life mirrors your inner life. Changing your attitude toward money, embracing trust over fear, and cultivating a mindset of stewardship reshapes the way abundance manifests. What once seemed blocked now flows effortlessly. Timing is another crucial element. Often, God delays provision, not out of denial, but for preparation. He wants you to demonstrate faithfulness, develop character, and align your actions with His plan. If you despise the little, you are not ready for the much. Small, faithful acts, even when unnoticed or unrewarded, lay the foundation for multiplied blessings. Waiting periods are not empty, they are formative. When you honor God in the small things, you open the door to larger, unstoppable flows of provision. Money is not an end in itself. It is a means to accomplish divine purposes. True abundance provides freedom, opportunity, and influence to do good. It allows you to bless others, invest in meaningful work, and leave a legacy. When you handle money with this perspective, you align your financial flow with God's will. The result is not just wealth for personal gain, but provision that carries impact, blessing, and testimony to the world around you. When you shift your mindset from scarcity to purpose, the energy surrounding money changes. Anxiety is replaced with confidence. Fear is replaced with expectation. Worry gives way to faith. You begin to see solutions where there were once obstacles, opportunities where there were barriers, and resources where there seemed to be none. This shift transforms every aspect of your financial life because the unseen responds to the posture of your heart. Ultimately, understanding money as a tool in God's hands releases you from bondage. You no longer chase wealth out of desperation or allow lack to dictate your peace. You recognize that provision is a divine flow meant to move through you, not merely to you. Every dollar, every resource, and every opportunity carries assignment. When you embrace stewardship, faith, and purpose, blocked money begins to flow. Opportunities expand, and the abundance that has been delayed begins to manifest in powerful, life-changing ways. The first key principle is release what blocks you. Many times, financial stagnation is not a lack of resources, but a spiritual blockage caused by fear, doubt, or past disappointments. These negative emotions act as chains, keeping you from receiving the blessings already assigned to you. When you consciously release fear and worry through prayer, you open a pathway for abundance to flow. Releasing is an act of surrender, a declaration that you trust God to handle what you cannot control. It requires courage because you must let go of the past and all that weighs you down, knowing that a new season of provision is coming. Fear often disguises itself as caution, but it has the same effect. It limits your capacity to receive. Worry occupies your mind, keeps your hands clenched, and stops your heart from trusting in divine provision. Release is the spiritual principle of unclogging your vessel. The moment you let go of fear, you begin to experience freedom. Your prayers carry more power because your faith is no longer restrained by anxiety. Every declaration you make while in this post signals to heaven that you are ready for increase. Past mistakes and failures are another form of blockage. When you dwell on what went wrong, your spiritual energy becomes tied to limitation. To release effectively, you must forgive yourself and others, let go of regrets, and refuse to allow the past to dictate your future. By releasing past burdens, you create room for new opportunities and resources to enter your life. This is the foundation of financial restoration, removing the chains that prevent the flow of blessings. The second key principle is align your heart and actions with purpose. Many pray for wealth, but are misaligned in motive or action. Alignment means that your thoughts, words, and actions are consistent with God's will and intended purpose. It requires honest self-reflection, examining your intentions, your desires, and the ways you spend your time and resources. When your motives are pure, when your actions reflect faithfulness, and when your heart is focused on purpose rather than selfish gain, abundance flows naturally. Alignment is the spiritual principle that bridges your prayers with tangible results. Alignment begins in the mind. Thoughts shape reality, and if your mind dwells on scarcity, lack, or envy, you block your own increase. Choosing to think in faith, focus on gratitude, and envision divine provision reshapes your energy. Thoughts create a spiritual atmosphere, and alignment ensures that the atmosphere is conducive to blessings. When your inner world matches your prayers, your life begins to reflect divine order, and opportunities begin to manifest in ways that were previously hidden. Alignment also includes your words. Speaking faith-filled declarations over your finances, over your life, and over your future is essential. Words are creative. They plant seeds in the spiritual realm. When you declare, every financial blockage is removed, you are activating spiritual power. Alignment ensures that your words are consistent with your faith, producing momentum that moves unseen forces to work in your favor. Actions must also align with prayers. Faith without action is incomplete. You cannot pray for opportunity and remain passive. Applying for a new job, starting a business, making investments, or giving generously are practical steps that activate the spiritual principles you have declared. Actions demonstrate trust, readiness, and responsibility, signaling to heaven that you are prepared to receive what has been promised. The third key principle is pray with authority. Authority in prayer is the confidence to declare God's promises over your life and finances. It is not begging. It is commanding what has already been released spiritually. Speaking boldly over blocked money, over delayed opportunities, and over closed doors carries spiritual weight. Authority is rooted in faith. It is the declaration that you are aligned with divine principles and ready to receive the increase God has prepared. Activation through authoritative prayer requires persistence and courage. You may not see immediate results, but repeated declarations and consistent alignment strengthen spiritual momentum. Just as water wears down obstacles over time, consistent prayer tears down resistance. Speaking, acting, and believing in alignment with God's promises opens the flow of provision, ensuring that the blessings are not only received but multiplied. The fourth key principle is expect and act on blessings. Breakthrough requires more than prayer. It requires action in faith. The spiritual realm responds when you step into the opportunities God places before you. Acting in faith is a demonstration that you are prepared to receive. Applying for opportunities, investing your skills, or extending generosity, even when resources feel limited, are all acts of faith that activate provision. Expectation and action work together. Believing that increase is coming motivates you to take steps that allow the blessing to manifest fully. The fifth key principle is gratitude and faith accelerate increase. Gratitude shifts your heart from scarcity to expectation. Thanking God for what is coming, even before you see it, signals trust and strengthens your faith. Faith without gratitude is incomplete because it lacks recognition of God's prior provision. When you cultivate thankfulness, you align your spirit with abundance, creating a fertile environment for blessings to manifest. Faith plus gratitude ensures that the flow of blocked money is unlocked and that increase enters your life consistently. powerfully and sustainably.